Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the final game here of the West Coast Cup here at Renton Memorial Stadium, just south of Seattle, Washington, where we're about to see the Seattle Sockeye face off against their I-5 rivals Portland's Rhino. I'm Dave Bestock, joined here by Kyle Weisbrod. Kyle, what are you looking to see here out of this Rhino team today?
Well, we have two teams here that are having very different weekends. Rhino, a very young squad. So far 0-3 on the weekend. They lost a lot of talent from last year's squad. Mario O'Brien moving to Sockeye. Matt Melius taking the season off. Chase Sparling-Beckley also taking the season off. Three guys who are big impact players as well as others. They're very young. Their average age is somewhere around 23 years old. But what we're going to see a lot of is that youth in play. Dylan Freechild is their big playmaker. He's got a strong supporting cast of young players that are up and coming. Eli Friedman, former Callahan Award winner himself. And a handful of other young guys. They're also small and very handler focused. They like to break the mark. What's going to be key for them is getting their downfield involved, whether or not those guys can get open against the Sockeye defenders.
And there, it looks like Timmy Perston, who is a huge receiver for Portland's Rhino, is out potentially with injury here. He's not suited up to play this game. So that's some of their height and age and experience there. So will be there's you see Perston stretching out. He's got his cleats on, but not wearing the right color jersey, so I'm not sure that he'll be joining them here today. But the youth of Rhino set to face against a Seattle team that's coming fresh off a narrow win against San Francisco's Revolver. Sockeye in the last game beat out Revolver 17-16 to give Revolver their first loss of the weekend, and set to see what they can do here against Portland's Rhino. Again, as we were saying, it's early season for all these teams, and they're able to try on different looks, both on offense and defense, mix it up with some of their offensive sets, and then throw different defenses and see, is this going to work for us in the long run this season? And I expect to see a few different looks from Seattle Sockeye bringing down on Portland's offense, though Portland getting ready to pull here to start the final game of the day. And the pull is up. Downwind a little bit, though the wind kind of spotty now. Played a factor in the last game. We'll see how much of a factor it is in this game. Sockeye with a side stack. Adam Holt centers to Chris Kasednar. And Kinley comes out of the side stack. They can't get it to him, finding Sefton in the front of the stack. Sefton winds up. Not a huge thrower, so holsters it, though Skip Sewell is open. Spencer will opt to throw it, though Sewell broke off his cut at that point. And Sockeye gives it to Portland here in this first point.
Yeah, just a little miscommunication there between Wallace and Sewell. Wallace, when he wound up for that backhand, put his head down and didn't see Sewell make that cut underneath. He didn't keep his eyes up, and so when he released it, Sewell was, coming hard under, and there was just no way he could turn and go get it.
Rhino shows a straight vertical stack. Double cuts here. They opt to swing it over to the handler, and there's a call on the field. Still player out in the lane here. Again, this is their defensive team on offense starting off this game. Good pressure from Sockeye's O team, now playing D. Quick handler movement. Sewell bids huge, forcing a switch. Another call on the field, stops play.
There's a travel call on Laurie, Ben Laurie, another one of the young players here for this Rhino squad. Rhino coming off their first year qualified for nationals in the last few. Big year for them.
But as you say, Kyle, they missing some of those guys who are impact players who helped them get there. So I think they've got an uphill battle this year to get their way back to nationals. Laurie checks the disc in. Spencer Wallace dives into the lane. Good pressure from Sewell, forces the straight dump. Clark bids huge on a pass in the lane. A big flick goes up. McGinn tries to reel it in. Doesn't get there. Second chance. Gets there on the dive. Goal Portland for the first point of this game. Nice focus there on the second chance from McGinn.
Portland on the board first.
Looked like he was had a chance at that first one. A nice flick shot up. McGinn reels it in, but gets off on the wrong foot, it looks like, but then able to dive and make the play. Nice throw. Nice play on the receiving end. Goal Portland for a break.
So nice offense from Oregon here. Misread to begin with, but Topher Davis's forehand really stepped into it, drove it hard to McGinn, Really nice look, being able to convert that break, working that full 70 yards and get on the board first here. You know, the Sockeye defense looked a little, the O-line defense looked a little flat coming into this. I mean, I think that's really hard to get this huge win against, you know, one of the top teams in the country and have to play a game 10 minutes later against another team, another rival. And they came out a little flatter than they were looking at the end of that revolver game, and not surprisingly so.
That's right. Their offense, though, needs to play a little cleaner. Those miscues, miscommunications, they're going to need to clean those up if they're going to keep the pressure on Portland here. You know, the pressure is on Portland in general because Sockeye, I think, probably favored in this game. A little fake pull there as maybe an offsides call or needing a new disc or something like that. It looks like maybe a new disc as the whole defensive team ready to go down on that pull, and the puller opting to try again. So we'll see Laurie try that one again, getting set to pull after getting the first point of the game is Portland. There's Laurie's pull. Big pull up, maybe sailing out of bounds, and that one will land clear out of bounds. Sockeye will take it at the brick mark. Their offensive team now going to clean it up a little bit from this last one where there were miscues. And regular suspects out there for the most part. Sockeye's O-line. As Kassedner walks it up to the brick line. Sefton cuts across the field, gets a high backhand, jumps a little early, and another miscue from Sockeye's offense. This is not how they want to start this game. As Portland heading back up there, there's McGinn with the disc, little lefty backhand shuffle up to Davis. Davis centers it back to McGinn. McGinn finds an open Laurie. Backhand across the field for a break. Nice bid from Castine. And a bobble from the ground. Looks like Holleran can't bring that one in. Nope, that's Penner. Sorry, Brian Penner found himself on the ground and bobbled it in the goal line. Here you see the nice bid from Castine. And looks like Penner slipped his footing before the disc got there, and he couldn't bring it in, and Sockeye will get another chance at this one. Sockeye's offense, though, now a couple of errors, and there's a huge bid, some contact on Castine, who bobbles the disc and looks like got tied up with his ankle. And hopefully he's all right. Looks like he's going to walk it off. And that contact leading to the drop there, so we'll retain possession. Yeah, just came down on his ankle a little bit. Disc is back in play. Sefton with it. Finds Clark. Finds Castine. Castine sends one deep to Wallace. Wallace has space. That's a nice throw out in front, and Wallace will run it on. And that's a really great shot from Castine. 75-yard pass downfield to a streaking Spencer Wallace. There you see, launching the backhand on the flick side. Spencer Wallace steps out in front of Topher Davis. Davis doesn't have a chance. Wallace brings it in shy of the back end on its own line.
That's a great example of throwing to speed there. And Sockeye should be relieved here. They were able to settle down their offense here and play some nice offense on their second possession of this point. Rhino, on their hand, giving up a really great opportunity there for a second break to start this game. Right there where Penner lost his feet on the throw that was a little behind from Freechild. But, you know, getting Sockeye's D-line on the field is big for the Seattle squad. And
if Seattle's going to make those errors, Portland needs to capitalize on them, as you say. Probably they will not be making those errors all game. Again, coming off of a big game, a little bit of a lack of focus led to a couple errors there. If Portland's going to have a chance in this game, they need to capitalize on those. And Sockeye's D-line, of course, looking to strike at their first look at this field today against Portland.
You know, this young Rhino squad really certainly capable of greatness. A lot of big talent on this field. But, you know, one thing that really strikes at the heart of these young squads is that lack of consistency, that inconsistency. And that's what we saw yesterday when Rhino played Bravo. They went out to a big 8-5 lead at half and then gave up that whole lead and lost by a handful by the end of the game. This team has a lot of talent, but playing consistently through this game should be the goal of Rhino. Even if they don't win this game against this really solid and talented Sockeye squad, playing consistently is a big step in the right direction for this young team.
Hancock upfield now. Portland looking to get into their end zone line. A lot of poaches coming from Sockeye's handler defenders. Jacob Janin on the line now, looking for an opening. Finds a nice inside-out shot.
Chris Hancock with the goal.
To Hancock. Portland up 2-1 now. And nice composure there on the end zone line. There you see inside-out shot from Janin to Hancock there. Good patience and heads-up play from Jacob Janin.
Janin and Hancock, two more of the young guys on this Rhino squad. Hancock often the two in their pull play on their offensive line. You'll see it centered up to him very frequently. Janin, very explosive out of Whitman College. Just finished up there, and one of the more talented players on this field and any field he plays in. Very small, but incredibly quick and incredibly explosive.
I had the good fortune of watching Jacob Janin play through his career as a high school player, and even then dominant, just always knows where to go. Very, very smart player, and plays, you know, well beyond his size, small stature, but huge player. And I think, you know, been playing so long as a young player, sort of one of the veterans here on such a young Portland team because he's been playing it from a very young age. So Portland takes the lead, 2-1. Their D-line's out here. Sockeye looking to reel in their focus a little bit. A couple of miscues led to early turnovers, and they're going to look to tighten it up and let their O-line dominate here, but we haven't seen it yet in this game. Floaty pull, Kasednar brings it down. Not clear cutting downfield. Sefton gets it. Finds Wallace up the middle. Wallace finds Clark through some traffic. Kasednar, Wallace, Sefton. Sefton looking to get it off that line. Finds Kasednar streaking up the line. On the end zone line now. Kasednar, Blady flick across the field. Nice bid there. Kinley able to bring it in. Back to Kasednar, inside out shot. That's a nice break to Sefton, who shuffled his feet there, but no call. Gets it over to Sewell for the goal, 2-2.
So Sockeye settles their offense down and works that one down through their vertical stack. A little stagnant at the very beginning with their downfield cutting, but then once they got it going, some nice break mark looks. There's one look that Penner had on a D that Kinley was able to reel in, and then once they got in the red zone, the Sockeye offense looked excellent. Finishing off with that pass to Sewell. So tying up at 2s.
That's right. Penner did have a chance at that Blady flick swing from Kasednar, but not close enough to get the D there. And Sockeye gets it in. 2-2. Sockeye's D squad is back out here. These two teams haven't faced off a lot over the last few years. A lot of these players used to playing against each other, but like you say, a very young Portland squad. And Sockeye generally winning out in these two teams' matchups. Portland sneaks a win in every once in a while. So far, fairly even, partly due to some sloppiness on Sockeye's O squad. Very early in this game.
Would you describe the dynamics between these two teams as like a big brother, little brother kind of rivalry?
That sounds about right. Yeah, I think, you know, there's some of that. I think Portland has always been in Sockeye's shadow a little bit, other than a couple of standout years for them. And there even has been, you know, the Ben Wiggins on Sockeye and his younger brother Seth Wiggins on Portland for a little while. So literally some big brother, little brother stuff, although Seth is bigger than Ben. But I think that it's a friendly rivalry. I think there's a lot of camaraderie between the teams. I don't think there's any real bad blood between these teams. But I think that's a fair assessment.
I think that's sometimes easier, that kind of friendly rivalry, when both teams kind of know their place in the hierarchy. You know, when they're battling up and back and forth for the edge. And here's a shot from Laurie.
It's a nice shot out to Friedman. Friedman gets the edge on Harkness and reels it in right on the line. Nice grab, Friedman, and finds an easy one to Meyer for the goal. Nice shot and nice grab, Friedman, who's fired up, gets it over Sam Harkness. Sam Harkness got behind Friedman a little bit. Credit that one to Eli Friedman for getting positioning. Nice throw out to space as well. There you see Laurie, big flick. Harkness tracking it, but Friedman tracking it a little bit better and just a little bit farther out in front. Harkness can't get there.
Laurie fresh off of a U23 gold medal with the U.S. Open team. He's a big player here for this Rhino squad. Young high school player coming out of Colorado before coming out to Oregon. I mentioned it yesterday, but he's actually a second-generation Ultimate player. His father, Phil Laurie, played longtime player out in Colorado for several club teams there.
That'll be interesting to see these next generations. A lot of Frisbee players been playing a while now and put a disc in their kids' hands early on. Kyle, you were just showing me photos of your son working on his backhand.
Oh, he's going to be a superstar. He's right-handed, but he's got this sweet lefty backhand that's 10 yards off of every receiver.
Once he turns 4, this kid's going to be amazing. He's still got another year or so before that, but look out. Look out for the Weisbrod second generation. A lot of Frisbee players having kids, putting discs in their hands, and I expect to see a lot of that over these next bunch of years. Second generation players, having a disc in their hands from an early age, getting those throws down, add some athleticism, and this game will just keep getting better. Portland's D comes down on Sockeye. Adam Holt puts one too far out in front of Spencer Wallace, and it looks like Portland will have just 25 yards to go for a little break here, being up 1. And the miscues continue for Sockeye. Here's Adam Holt, usually very solid, steps around with the backhand, and Wallace can't get there as that one sails out of bounds.
Seems like a classic just post-game lull after a great game, and here's a great opportunity for Oregon.
Oh, nice fancy footwork there, and it looks like Van Arsdale toes the line to keep it in for the goal. Portland with a quick break, capitalizing on Sockeye's error. And nice footwork there from Van Arsdale. See there, McGinn steps around, gets his right foot down the line, watching it the whole time. We don't have the best angle. Here we go. We'll see if he was spot on. Well, we can't see it exactly, but I trust him. Again, no observers here, so his word is what we got here to go on. But nice footwork there, nice grab. Some quick movement from Portland. And Sockeye's offense needs to tighten up the screws coming in off a big win in a big game. They need to reel in that focus a little bit.
At this point, it's not a lot of Rhino pressure that's causing these turnovers. It is very clearly just the Sockeye mental focus. It's very hard. That Rhino or that Sockeye O-line in that revolver game played 8 consecutive points with perfect offense, right? No turnovers, just putting it away over and over and over again against a huge rival. And then to come into this game, where you, after 10 minutes of letting that mental focus go a little bit, it's hard to ramp it back up. It takes a lot of energy to get to where you need to be. But this team needs to do it. This is not a team that Sockeye wants to lose to.
That's right. And I think, coming in as that big brother mentality, it's like, oh, we got this. But you can't get such a lull there and expect to pull it out. And Portland taking good advantage of those errors. Again, we discussed, them having to take advantage of those. They didn't capitalize on one, but now a couple of breaks coming from miscues on Sockeye's end as their offense looks to clean it up here. A couple double cuts out in the lane, but Spencer pulls off and allows Kinley to get there. Finds Allie Lennon, who plays on both sides of Sockeye, playing offense and defense. There's a huge D from Ty Livingston to get the disc back, and that was not as much an error on Sockeye's part as a huge bid by Livingston as Portland marching it back up the field.
Simply dirty catch block by Livingston, just reaching in there, kind of working his body around the receiver.
Here you'll see it again. Lennon looking upfield, puts it out in front. Kinley going for it. Livingston says, yum, 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 grabs it out of there. Nice defensive play. Laurie surveying the field. Back to Laurie. Vertical stack. Finds a flick break. And double happiness for Livingston there. Gets a nice break throw for another Portland break point. As Portland fired up here with a 5-2 lead.
The little brother's feeling a little uppity out here in Portland Rhino, and Sockeye looking to regroup. Here's another look at that Livingston block, just reaching out there, full extension and catch block, and then on the other side, breaking free wide open on Tyler Kinley. Tyler Kinley looking around, trying to figure out what's going on.
Well, and I think Skip Sewell may have bit a little hard on that fake. I'm not sure what the force was there, but may have let off an easy forehand break if that force was backhand. I didn't get a great look at it, but he was kind of all over the place on the mark there.
So Rhino up 5-2, up 3 breaks early in this game. And, while this is a regular season game and it doesn't mean terribly much in the long term, this is a big mental thing for Rhino, right? there's very likely going to Northwest Regionals to be only 1 or 2 bids for Furious, Sockeye, and Rhino. And having an edge and knowing that you can play with the Sockeye team is going to be huge going into those games to go, where having that edge and knowing that you're capable of winning those games will really push you all the way through it.
That's right. If you continually get beaten in those big games, you got a mental disadvantage. If they know they got to win out early in the season, they know they can do it again and get fired up when the game is really on the line and the season is really on the line. And conversely, Sockeye, if they're going to assert that dominance, needs to do so early in the season so that they can have that confidence and mental edge late in the season. Adam Holt over to Chris Kasednar. Spencer Wallace takes off deep, but it doesn't go. Tim Garrett, high backhand to Wallace, but another huge D from Portland.
Freechild just flying across the field on this one. Wallace, though, down on the ground.
Here you'll see high backhand from Tim, and then coming from nowhere, clips Wallace, but well after he got a big piece of that disc.
Wallace now off the field.
And we'll hope that he's all right. Portland fired up. That was a great block. And we're in play here. Disc goes up to McGinn.
Great calm offense here from Rhino. They look very in control. They don't look pressured.
And if Sockeye's offense is going to continue making these mistakes, they're going to need to work hard on D to get it back. There goes a big throw up. Trying to get double happiness again, but Holt and Harkness up over Freechild, send it out, regain possession for the Fish. There's that big forehand. Harkness and Holt both closing on it, and no chance for Freechild to get that one. Donnie Clark with the disc, resets to Adam Holt, lefty to lefty. A lot of messy cuts up here. It looks like a vertical stack, but way too many cuts. Maybe a horizontal stack. I'm not sure they know. I certainly don't. Garrett, Allie Lennon. Allie Lennon launches a backhand to Kinley. That's a nice shot out to space. Kinley chases it down. A nice dive to make the catch. Resets to Kasednar. Kasednar back to Kinley. He's got to be a little tired here after that big, long sprint. Puts it out in front to Clark. Clark reels it in without having to leave his feet. Nice throw, Allie Lennon. Nice grab, Tyler Kinley. And Sockeye, after getting that turn back, punches in the goal.
Well, Kinley really gets on his horse for this one and just takes off, you know, normally a handler, but getting downfield and full extension on that one, and then hits that reset as soon as he gets it. Here's another look at it from a different angle.
Nice flat backhand from Lennon allows Kinley to get out there. Even though it was a little far, he's able to reel it in. He gets it back after a couple swings. Donnie Clark, also excellent foot speed, brings it in for the goal.
Well, so that was big for Sockeye to get that one back. Rhino again had another break. Look, could have gone at 4 breaks here early, but Sockeye keeping it with 2 points, and Sockeye certainly capable of making up this gap very quickly.
But some amazing defensive plays from Portland, making it very exciting. We haven't seen that kind of intensity from Sockeye's defense at all this game, certainly, and Portland showing that they want it, really hungry for it, and they just need to kind of balance that aggressive defensive hunger with some composure on the offensive side.
Absolutely. And, you know, the first couple of Sockeye turnovers we saw were clearly just Sockeye miscues, not due to pressure. I think the fact that Rhino got up led to some more defensive pressure from Rhino, and Rhino creating on their own defensively the last couple points.
And, again, that's just seeing, you know, mentally, oh, it's possible, we're up, we can make this happen, giving them the confidence to make some of those plays themselves on defense. Jannon gets the disc open out in the lane. A huge Eric Disberg on him. It's quite a size mismatch. Big backhand. Hancock chases it. Can't get there. Big shot. Lofty backhand here. You'll see the launch.
You know, it looks
Chasing,
to me
just
like
can't get
Hancock
there.
just plays the angle too much and doesn't go to the spot where it's coming down.
And
It's also a little bit on that downwind side, so the wind kept pushing it and pushing it. When it was released, I thought that was a sure goal.
yeah, it looked good, but then sort of sailed out of bounds. I'm not sure. You know, it's hard to tell from our angle what Hancock could have done, but tough to say. Some of that youth, though, you know, leads to not making the great angle plays there. That just comes from experience. There, one gets away from Sockeye a little bit, intended for Simon. Exton Titcomb brings it in. Now Dusberg with the disc. Huge extension backhand from him. Simon gets it. Fakes a flick upfield, out to space. There is Spidell, looks like. Spidell with the backhand, over back to Simon. Simon, Titcomb. Kind of stagnant offense here from Sockeye. Vertical stack, regrouping. Most of the movement out of the handlers. There's a poach switch, but Simon left open as a result. And launches a flick to Spidell. Spidell chasing. Looks like Janin underneath. Spidell with the height, goes up early, can't bring it down. And Portland will regain possession.
You know, Adam Simon got that disc there, and all he was looking was deep. He didn't want anything underneath, even though he had a look, and then hangs this one up a little too long. Janin with good position here, but definitely the height mismatch, and Spidell unable to bring that one down. So Rhino, big important turnover for them. That was an opportunity for a break for Sockeye.
Hancock will bring it to the line. Move it quickly over to another handler there. No one on him. Big flick cross field. Reed Koss comes in to make the play. Doesn't quite get there. Friedman gets it. Launches a flick to an open Janin. That's going to be an easy goal if he can hang on, which he can, even though Barrage comes in and strips it. That's a goal for Portland. And a nice transition play for Portland there.
Jacob Janin.
Friedman gets it as Reed Koss bids past. No mark. Beautiful forehand up to Janin. Makes the easy play. Barrage just flipping it out of his hand, but well after the goal.
You know, I wonder if a lot of the Sockeye defenders got caught flat-footed, thinking that Reed Koss was going to be able to come up with that, and Janin just took off for the end zone, was wide open by several yards. Barish made up a lot of ground at the end there, unable to get there, or unable to get close enough to do anything more than just strip it after he catches it.
That's right. Nice throw from Friedman again, unmarked, because Reed Koss coming close to that bid, but not getting there. And that's the tough part about making those bids on the swing passes. If you can get that D, that's huge. But if you miss it, you're not able to get the mark on it all. And a correction. Livingston, we've been saying, but number 3, Ty's name is Swain. So those big plays credited to Livingston, actually credit to Swain. Portland, pull.
Correction made by 2013 Callahan winner Bailey Zonheiser, informing us of the actual correct name of Ty.
That's right. Who I coached at Seattle Academy long, long ago. She was a freshman at the time. But anyway, I date myself. Seattle offense with the disc. Adam Holt puts one way out in front. That's a beautiful, beautiful forehand, and Skip Sewell tracks it down, not giving Laurie a chance. That's just a great shot from Adam Holt.
Must be awkward when you go out to dinner. Who pays?
I missed that one. Oh, and I'm dating myself. I get it. Yeah, I pay. I love myself.
So there's too much of a delay there. That great throw there, you know, it broke up my witty rapport.
But breaking up is not something that I will do with myself.
Great 0 point for Sockeye. Keeps it within 2. Rhino feeling comfortably ahead here. 6-4. Still up 3 breaks.
And Sockeye's defense will look to get their own break here, trying to fire it up. Not showing quite the tenacity that Portland's D has shown. But still pretty early here. A 2-point game, just sneaking up on the tail end of the first half here. And shaping up to be a pretty good game.
I have to comment on how much this game feels a lot like the Rhino Bravo game yesterday, where Rhino came out with a bunch of breaks early. Rhino looked like you could see the talent on this Rhino line. You can see the skills that they bring out there. They've got good, calm, skilled offensive players, and they've got some great athletic defenders. The question is whether they can be consistent through a 15-point game.
Janin getting open downfield. He does it very well. Swinging it back over to Shaw. Another bid by Reed Koss. Doesn't get there. Shaw working hard against an active Ali Lennon on the mark. Back over to Janin. Janin back to Shaw. Back to Janin. Back to Shaw. And an opening, and Ali Lennon recovering on the mark, but with a big foul as Shaw stepped out on the flick pivot.
I like this Shaw-Janin action. Their movement is very creative and very quick.
Yeah, both very quick. Looking to get it again. Friedman this time gets a quick shove off and finds Janin. Nice play from their quick young athletes. Portland gets another goal, 7-4. And here you see that inside out to Friedman and Janin. A nice little cut to the sideline. And just really quick movement. Sockeye not able to catch up there.
Interesting look here. They had two resets back. Both Janin and Friedman, both of them went up line. He fakes to the Janin look and then hits Friedman, and Friedman hits Janin, peeling out for the score. You know, a lot of Rhino, their offense is driven from that handler movement, lots of quick movement, and then opens up the downfield. And that was one thing that Bravo keyed in on in the second half against Rhino. I think it looks to me like Rhino is being a lot more balanced in this game. You see a lot of that handler movement, but you're also seeing some great downfield looks.
Mm-hmm. Some really nice hucks from both teams so far this game, as the wind still a factor but settling down a bit from the last game. And the sun shining brightly. You see Portland, all the guys not wearing hats, have their hands in front of their eyes. There you see the flag luffing just a little bit. Not too windy right now, but as we're talking about it, it's picking up. It senses is the discussion. But the sun and wind not seeming to be too much factors here, but the late afternoon sun nearing the horizon as Sockeye brings it down heading east. Adam Holt to Sefton, big bid there. Freechild over to Kinley.
A lot of flying bodies in this game. Reed Koss making some plays for Sockeye, and Freechild again coming across with a good look at a block.
Sewell, Harkness. A lot of handlers going up the line for both teams. There, Kinley gets it up the line. Moves it back to Harkness. Takes the additional swing. Love to see that. Very fundamental. And quick handler movement this time from Sockeye as Wallace gets it out of the stack. Wallace into some traffic, but Sefton there. Sefton, happy feet. Looks upfield and finds Sewell for a quick little inside-out shot. Nice movement there from Sockeye, finishing with a quick little break. Kind of similar to Portland's look last game in terms of the quick handler movement leading the offense. And here you see Sefton shut down going backfield, looks back upfield, and Sewell able to break off of the front of the stack. And Friedman can't get a hand there. That short pass, particularly since the mark wrapped around to the back, very, very hard to stop.
So 7-5, Rhino with the lead. Sockeye takes time out here. And with that, we will also take a quick break, and we'll be back for the end of this first half.
Welcome back. Short break here as the teams come out of a timeout. Sockeye will pull. They're down 2. Portland 7-5. Both teams missing some players. Sockeye with a couple inactive players not here this weekend, and then 4 on their injured roster. And Portland with a couple inactive players actually up here in the booth, producing and directing for Next Gen Network, Vin Bui and Kevin Minderhout, and one injured player in Will Watkins. So both rosters not totally full, but plenty of guys out there making this quite an exciting game.
You also mentioned Timmy Purston earlier, big receiver for this Rhino squad, not on the field. And you know who I haven't seen play in this game and who was out in the second half of the revolver game for Sockeye is MC Caldwell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mike Caldwell holding it down. This guy's been on Sockeye, I think, 12 years running. So age creeping in on him, but an amazing athlete. I wonder if maybe something's tweaked or if they're just resting him here. I'm not sure, but been a pivotal part of Sockeye's offense for many, many years. And that's right, we haven't seen him in this game. Portland bringing it down, hoping to take half here, up 7-5. And easily upfield here on the backhand sideline. Garrett brings in the mark, leaving a little upfield shot open as Hancock gets it. Centers to Friedman. Friedman swings. Vertical stack. Back to Friedman. Not a lot of action out of the stack. Janin takes off. Friedman looks for it. And a bidding Adam Simon can't get there. Janin brings it in for another goal. Portland takes half, 8-5. A nice shot and nice read there by Janin.
Well, really interesting seeing Friedman and Janin make something happen here. The stack was very stagnant. Janin found himself coming in on the break side, recognized nothing happening, and then he took Adam Simon deep, and Friedman putting this one perfectly over Simon's head. Janin just easily elevates, comes down one-handed, and takes half 8-5 up 3 breaks. Rhino in control early here.
That's right, making something out of nothing. Not a lot of action there. A couple players playing well together, and Janin and Friedman. And Portland feeling good coming into half 8-5. Sockeye needing to regroup as we take a little break for halftime. And we're back here, getting set to start the second half of play of the final game of the West Coast Cup. Portland Rhino up 8-5 against home team Seattle Sockeye here at Renton Memorial Stadium, just south of Seattle. Beautiful sunny evening. And Rhino showing some stuff here in the first half. Sockeye a little bit messy on offense. Portland really fired up on D, and quick handler movement converting into scores. This is Dave Bestock. I'm joined by Kyle Weisbrod. Kyle, coming into this second half, what are you hoping to see?
Well, this game not unlike the Rhino versus Johnny Bravo game we saw yesterday. Rhino coming out in very similar situation, up 8-5 on offense. Then they struggle with consistency. I don't know if it was the halftime made them think about it some and realize, hey, we're playing with one of these top teams and we've got a lot of new guys on our team, and then they struggled. Bravo also made some adjustments. Sockeye looks like they're making an adjustment here, playing that big zone defense we saw against Revolver.
And we haven't seen it yet this game. Rhino showing a lot of composure here so far. Big cup. There's a scuba over the top. That's a scary one over the long arms of Eric Dustberg and Frank Devin Barrich. Disc moves up to Shaw, who caught a huge bladey pull here to start this point from Garrett. And Friedman a little bit stuck on the line here. Quick pass back to Friedman. Gain of 6 yards there in that exchange, but still kind of stuck on that line. Sockeye adjusting to that little chip, and Friedman in some trouble. Gets it off. No available swing. Opts for the huge hammer across the field, almost in the goal. I don't think that was in, and it looks like there was a call, and that disc will go back. But a nice shot, nice hammer shot across field. Portland not seeming too phased by this cup zone coming in out of the halftime break.
You know, this Rhino squad's young, but they have a lot of skilled throwers, and the zone allows them to keep the disc in the hands of those skilled throwers. You know, the other thing, too, is that they're not running that deep. We see the same guys out there making plays for Rhino. Friedman, Janin, Freechild out there doing their stuff, Lori. This allows them to kind of take their breath, too, right? They get to stand around. They're not having to work as hard, whereas a man defense might cause them to work it, slow it down. But here Sewell gets a big block out of that zone.
That's a tricky shot. That bladey flick out of the cup is a dangerous one in there. You see Sewell coming and doing one of the things he does best, getting athletic blocks. Dustberg over to Tim Garrett. Garrett chips up to Koss, back to Garrett. High backhand to Sewell, who got the block on the end zone line. Sewell very content to reset. Garrett punches it into Barrich, and Sockeye, after forcing the turn eventually on that zone, quick to strike on offense from their defensive line, punch in the goal, narrow the gap to 2, down 8-6. Here you see that bladey flick cross field, and Matt skips Sewell, huge in the air, coming down with that block. Then little dump to Garrett, up to Barrich, and Sockeye bringing it in for the goal.
So a big break here for Sockeye. You know, before that call was made, there was a big hammer over the top from Friedman to Lori. That one comes back, and on the ensuing pass, Sewell able to get the block. And then the D-line offense really settled down. They look very smooth. Sockeye works it downfield and in out of a vertical stack offense. Really driven by Tim Garrett there. He loves, like you mentioned before, working on the vert stack. It's where he played his college ball, Florida. Love that vertical stack offense.
That's right, and Sockeye looking a little sharper, a little bit more aggressive on defense, and then really clean on the defensive offense. And you got to think that they, coming out of halftime, really looking to strike back and gain the edge on the metaphorical little brother that is Portland Rhino. Rhino, in order to hang on to this lead, going to need to show some composure, particularly on the offensive end, not let Sockeye's defensive team go on any runs here. Reed Koss set to pull. Down 2, 8-6.
Yeah, each one of these breaks takes that pressure off the Sockeye offense to perform. And I think that the Sockeye offense right now is ready for kind of a pressureless offensive point because right now they need to put them in. They can't let Rhino continue to break.
And Rhino's defense has been very aggressive thus far. Rhino on offense now. Freeman out in front downfield, but Houseman, big defender, covering him, forcing him under. Big throw goes up. Jannon again out in front. Jannon, huge bid, can't hang on as he comes into the end zone there. A nice shot and a nice bid by Jannon, but just a little too far out in front there.
Hancock recognizes that mismatch in terms of speed. Lynn is quick, but Jannon able to create some separation there, but can't put it flat enough that Jannon is able to run that one down. And so Sockeye, another opportunity for a break here out of half.
Simon brings it to the line. Lennon strikes up line. Koss up line. Koss gets it. No real deep options there as Portland shades off the back easily. Koss over the top finds Lynn. Swing in to Houseman. Maybe the first time he's had the disc. A couple of games here. Mostly a lane defender. Simon with the disc now. Sockeye offense settling in here. Lennon and Freechild getting a little tied up. And Freechild says, yep, got him. Count goes back to 0. Disc is in. Simon finds Lynn. Good defensive pressure here from Portland. There's a foul on the break throw. That'll play on. Koss to Houseman. Houseman surveys the field. Lynn comes back for the chippy swing. Sockeye needs to find their end zone offense. This is their defensive team. And Simon to Koss for the goal. Koss sends it through his legs for the break. A nice composure there from Sockey's defensive O team. A little bit messy, but they held their composure and waited until Koss gets really open there on Hancock. And Simon plays both ends of the disc. Very solid as a defensive handler for Sockeye.
And really smooth offense, like you said, for this Sockeye D-line offense. I really love the Adam Chicken Simon cut that set up that goal. He cuts to the break side, stops, and has his defender over pursuit, and then just makes a little chip cut back to the open side and gets wide open. And then Koss just follows that up with that cut to the sideline in the end zone for the goal. So Sockeye out of half, 2 quick scores and 2 quick breaks, and they're right back in this game. And Rhino's got to start feeling the pressure at this point.
And this is where the youth of Portland's Rhino team may be a factor. You know, this is a time when you really need to rise to the challenge. You need to regain that mental edge. And falling short in a lot of games to Sockeye over the years and being a really young squad is just an added challenge for Portland to stay in this game. And they need to keep their head up and march forward. Again, the pressure on their offense here to keep that composure and get their D-line in, as Sockey's D-line tries to take their run to tie it up here, down 1, 7-8. Garrett, last time he pulled, it was a huge bladey backhand that Will Shaw caught, though it sent him to the ground. Let's see what Garrett has in store at this pull.
It looks like we got that trap zone line in again for Sockeye. Dosberg and Frank Devin Barrich both out there.
And B.J. Sefton, a likely addition to that front line. He's a pretty big guy as well. There's another bladey backhand. Gets it on the bounce. Centers to Portland. And like you said, Kyle, here's that zone. And what we've seen from it so far, it's a trap zone. And they're content to trap on either side and send it to the line. This time, a miscue there. And Will Shaw sends a little shot out in front to his fellow handler. And it's a quick turnover. Sockeye defensive O team back with the disc. Koss surveying the vertical stack. Again, it's a little bit messy, but Sockeye generally content to just work it and use that stall count. Koss and Garrett, both very experienced players around the disc. Spidell back to Koss. And there's a call on the play.
Freechild giving a wide berth to Skip Sewell way deep in the end zone here. Sewell with his hands up, calling for essentially the hammer. But Freechild thinks he can make a play.
Koss instead goes for a lefty backhand to Sefton, who keeps his feet in bounds and runs away with the goal there. And Sockeye brings it all the way back, 8-8. And you see a lot of Portland players with their heads down.
Do a little bit of a raffle now.
Here you see
So get out those
easy little
tickets.
lefty flip backhand. Sefton brings it in Nice hands from
Next gen
Sefton.
disc,
A little bit of a sharp pass there, but
Discraft.
an easy goal for Sockeye.
It feels like, so Rhino taking a timeout here after 3 straight breaks by Sockeye out of half. It feels like there's a huge intensity lull here coming out of half. There was a lot of emotion on that Rhino line through the first half. Every big play was met by huge cheers and big plays, and now they've kind of lost that feeling and that edge, and Sockeye is content to have it kind of leveled and low energy. Their focus, their defense looks really good. They're making it really hard in that trap zone. And their offense is very calm. Their D-line offense, very calm, working it in, taking advantage of little breaks, and hitting their open players. So Rhino trying to figure out what they need to do to get that emotion back.
And that was their clear advantage in the first half. Sockeye making some errors, but the momentum clearly with Portland in that first half with that fired up defense, just like you're saying, Kyle. I think that's exactly right. If they're going to have a chance to gain that lead again, I think it's got to come from their defensive intensity. And Sockeye, if they can just sort of placate the energy of the defense, I think has an advantage here in the second half.
Yeah, so it's got to start with Rhino getting their D-line back on the field. They have to stop the bleeding at this point. They can't get down any further.
And we've seen a lot of composure, like you're saying, out of Sockeye's defensive O-line. So if Sockeye can force the turnover, we've seen them very successful at punching it in after getting that turnover. Portland needs to do a little bit of a better job taking care of that disc. One thing we've seen from them that has worked is the quick movement from their handlers, and a couple successful hucks, but the last one that went up a little too far out in front. So balancing the handler movement with some of the deeper shots, and they just need to be smart in that regard if they're going to maintain on offense. Sockeye set to pull here. Adam Simon with the disc, also known as Chicken. Getting their defense set.
Simon and Simon's experience is a huge pickup for this squad. I mean, Simon's played in a lot of different places. Started his club career with Johnny Bravo, played for Ironside, played for Revolver, and now he's here living in Seattle. And that's a really big pickup, that experience, that knowledge of systems, and he's pretty adaptable, having played in so many different places.
As you have to be. Here we see a familiar pairing here, Friedman to Janin, over to Hancock. These guys are all touching the disc a lot here for Portland. Upfield to Allison Hall. On the line. Upfield, Hancock gets steps on Kinley, puts it out in front to Janin. Nice bid by the defense. Janin fired up, spikes that disc down. Good offense there from Portland, finishing again to Jacob Janin. Here you see Hancock, nice little backhand out in front. Nice bid by the D, but Janin reels it in easily and tests the buoyancy of the turf there.
So Rhino wins the timeout there, stops the bleeding, gets their D back on the field. Great, easy movement there. A lot of stuff coming from behind the disc, going up line against the Sockeye defense, and able to punch it in the end zone using their quick feet. You know, they don't have a lot of height, but they have a lot of these little guys like Hancock and Janin out there, just making it happen with that first step quickness and then creating separation.
That's right. They don't want to put a lot of floaty hucks up to their guys, but the quickness is really paying off on the Portland offense. Sockeye a little fired up, making some bids on the defensive end, but not able to get there that time. Portland takes the lead again, 9-8.
And you got to imagine at this point the Sockeye offense has had some time to settle down. They can see that their D is going to get breaks in this game. And even though they're still down at this point, they look pretty relaxed body language-wise.
Pull goes up from Portland. Sockeye offense setting to take it. Adam Holt brings it down to Kasednar. Kasednar off in the 2 in their offense now. Skip Sewell takes off deep, but a nice switch as Van Arsdale there easily stops that. Sockeye in a horizontal offense. Sefton wide open. Castine takes off, takes 2 defenders, leaving Sewell open. Sewell finds Castine. Castine travels backwards, but play on. Finds Wallace to Sewell. Easy one to Kasednar. And Portland just chasing that entire point. Nice movement, nice coverage of the field from Sockeye. Some switches on Portland that Sockeye only took advantage of. And that's just a really nice point from Sockeye's offense. Here you see finding Wallace in the middle. Wallace up to Sewell. Sewell up to Kasednar. And the defense there, that whole point, not really having a chance. Really nice offense from Sockeye.
Yeah, really light pressure there from Oregon. It looked like players were making cuts. That cut where Castine went deep, took a defender with him. He was open deep anyway, but Sewell was even more open. And then Castine turns it underneath and is open by 5 yards underneath. The Rhino defenders just trailing pretty much all the way around. It looked like a practice drill out there for Sockeye.
And the couple of stunts that Portland did try on defense only led to yardage gainers for Sockeye. Just really good heads-up play from Sockeye's offense, taking advantage of what the defense was giving them, which at that point was a whole lot of yards underneath. So 9-9, Sockeye's D back out on the field. Portland hoping to utilize their quickness again on offense, run it through those main guys. And we'll see if those guys can hold up and keep that quickness and that speed coming in deep into the second half. Since, as you say, Kyle, they're running a lot through just a handful of guys. Simon with a big pull. Looks like a side stack forming for Portland. Up to Hancock. Friedman out in the lane. Friedman gets open deep, but very deep. A great bid by Janin, but just too far out in front from Hancock. We've seen him get dirty on a couple of Hancock throws now. Nice bid from Janin, but giving it back to Sockeye, and we'll see if Sockeye can keep that composure going on their defensive offense as they have shown so far. Garrett brings it in. Spidell goes deep. Koss gets it under. A scrambly offense here. Spidell gets it. Simon open. Spidell, a nice little shot up to Simon, and again, Sockeye showing really nice defensive offense, but there's a call on the play, and it looks like it'll come back. Portland, if they're going to give it up like that, really has to turn it on the defensive side if they want to get it back, because Sockeye, as we've discussed so far here, showing a lot of composure on the other side of the disc when their D team gets it.
Yeah, they've really dialed in the focus after that first few points and those breaks from Portland, and definitely just running away whenever they've got the disc at this point.
Spidell to Simon, this time on an in-cut. Out to Dustberg. Dustberg, big swing. Spidell with it again, finding that vertical stack. Lots of cuts. Garrett wants it, gets it. And Lynn needs to clear that side of the field. Does, a little bit deep. Harkness gets it. Dustberg. Oh, Harkness with some fancy pivoting. Friedman read it, and it looks like a call on the mark. We'll see it again here. Dustberg streaking right to left. Harkness blocked by Friedman, but says there was contact when he still had the disc in his hand. Hard to tell from here. Harkness will get it back on the goal line. Swings it over to Garrett. 3 cuts over to the flick side. None of them get thrown to. But Dustberg gets open. Garrett launches a flick in the middle. Sockeye comes away with the goal, takes the lead, 10-9.
Easy end zone offense here from Sockeye. Again, capitalizing on the unforced error by Hancock and the throw to Janin. And what set that throw up to begin with is that Hancock chose not to hit that deep shot to Friedman, and we saw that a lot in the second half of the Bravo game. 3 cutters on their pull plays, getting wide open, going deep. Hancock with the disc, choosing not to pull it. And part of it has to do with the fact that those 3 cutters are starting those cuts really deep, so it's a long, long throw. But Rhino not looking like they're terribly comfortable hucking in a stationary situation where they're not off of movement.
And I think that's indicative of a young team, is starting those deep cuts from a deep position. That's both something that needs to be worked on in practice, and it also just comes from experience in terms of bringing those cuts in, and as the disc moves through the handlers, setting up those deep cuts so that they start from early so that there's time to put them out in front, especially for a smaller squad. Portland has the quickness. They need to start those deep cuts shallow so that they have time to run on, since they're not looking for the floaty ones. Since they're a little bit shorter in general, not as often going to come down with the big ones in the air. So Sockeye's D showing again, tons of composure on the other side of the disc, and we'll set to pull it again here. Portland's offense trying to regain their composure and score here. Tim Garrett again with a pull, likely going to be that Blady backhand, and another strong one comes in from him on the bounce. Well received by Portland.
Looks like the trap zone again.
See how Portland adjusts this time. Wisely using their Swing in the back there to King. King, one of the veteran players here for this Portland squad. Freechild, Friedman, Freechild, Free. There's a lot of freedom there. Freechild high backhand over to Allison Hall, and they get through the cup a little bit. Topher Davis back to Friedman. Back to Davis. Opening in the cup there, nice find. Freechild utilizing these little flip passes as they can. And again, going back to King as the deep dump. Looking much better in this zone than previously. Freechild says gain yards, Friedman, which he does. Within striking distance here, and this is where some composure plays big. And they find Friedman for a little flip one through the cup. And Portland looking really good in that zone there.
Yeah, so for the first time we see Portland work upwind against the Sockeye 4-person trap cup zone. You know, a lot of this movement here was in the cup and around the cup. They worked in and around. They never went over the top, and that's really interesting. As a 4-person cup, that you could have a 5-on-3 mismatch in the backfield. Rhino, though, choosing to keep 3 or 4 people behind the disc, which allowed them more stuff in and around the cup, but not as much stuff over. And they worked it pretty effectively on that point.
Yeah, and having King so far back allows that dump to come off pretty easily, and so long as King is able to find a quick swing, then that loss of yards not really playing a factor. So a lot of those chip passes up through that zone, and then when that wasn't available, going all the way around, like you said, very effective. Last time they tried to go over the top or slice one through the cup and came up with a couple turnovers there. Looking really good against that zone and put some pressure on Sockeye if they're going to bring that again. Portland's shown that they're comfortable with it.
Well, so here we have Rhino's second defensive point of the half. They were unable to really generate any defensive pressure that first time around. Let's see if they can pick up that intensity that they had in the first half right here. Freechild with the pull.
Now would be a great time for that turnaround. Nice pull from Freechild. Sailing out towards the back. Castine looking at the line. That one's going to land in, so he catches it. That defensive turnaround right now would be great for Portland. A 10-10 game here. And this is probably not as close as Sockeye was hoping to have it. But because of their sloppy play in the first half, this is how it is. Disc moves up to Kinley. Streaking cutters. Kinley launches one up to Holt. Holt with nice positioning and a nice shot there. Doesn't give him again a chance. Holt cross field to Clark. Clark, easy one to Wallace. And that's some nice breakaway offense there from Seattle Sockeye.
Yeah, Kinley's backhand there really opening it up. Holt with position. No real pressure again from the Rhino squad on this defensive point. And Rhino has a limited number of opportunities here, and they need to take up and push that intensity as high as they can. Again, this is about consistency of play throughout a game. They've shown twice this weekend that they can play with these top teams in a half, right? They've gotten breaks on Bravo. They've gotten breaks on Sockeye. These are two of the top teams in the country. Rhino can play with them. But can they play with them for 15 points? They haven't shown that yet.
And they have an opportunity here, still close. Just a 1-point game. Sockeye takes the lead there by 1. Gets their D-line back out. And this early season confidence would be huge for Portland. Seeing that they can play a full half. With their young guys, they should be able to put together 2 halves. It's more mental than physical in terms of staying up when the other team goes on runs. It's a game of runs. There's always going to be runs, and it's just, can you stay mentally focused to put your D team out there again to go on a run?
So while we're enjoying a really beautiful sunset beginning here in Seattle, it's going to make it a little difficult for some of these receivers and throwers here. You can see the long shadows developing. Rhino's going in towards the sun here. It'll make receiving the pull really difficult. It may also make seeing receivers downfield a little difficult. If Sockeye gets the disc and is going the other direction, any hanging disc that a receiver has to come back to might be tough to read.
Just takes that added focus from the receivers with the conditions as they are. The wind, kind of the same as it's been. That pull's going downwind, but not a huge wind. Nice pull into the end zone, but Sockeye defense kind of jogging, so an easy first pass to Friedman. Swings it out wide to Allison Hall, and it's man-to-man defense now. Opening in the middle. Simon almost gets there, but Freechild able to bring that one in. Moves it up to Davis. Freechild with a little jump stop cut and gets called for a travel by Lennon.
That looked like a very questionable call by Lennon, stopping that patented free child footwork motion. He may have taken a step in there, but I don't believe he changed direction.
And Davis was upset about that call. It does go back to free child.
And that kind of physical misdirection is what Freechild does best. I mean, Lennon was going the opposite direction. Freechild released that and was up the line as Lennon was still going backfield. He was going to get the disc back from Davis in power position.
Which is solid because Lennon is actually very quick. And they're looking to send it to Freechild there, but Koss up in the lane shuts down Freechild's huck. Or Friedman's huck, sorry, to Freechild. Freechild had steps on Lennon. Lennon now has the disc. Moves it up, Hausman. Hausman finds Koss unguarded. A little bit messy here from Sockeye, but what they've shown this half, they'll clean it up, and for now, they'll talk about it before they try to punch in the goal here. And just an unfortunate error there from Friedman looking downfield for Freechild, who had steps, and Reed Koss steps up and disrupts the play with a smackdown D.
You know, I'm going to chalk that turnover up to an inexperienced emotional turnover. I think, Freechild was frustrated after the travel call. He hit Friedman right away and then took off deep. And I think Friedman, knowing that Freechild was upset and seeing Freechild take off, really wanted to get him that disc and wasn't making necessarily a decision that was within their offensive structure, but just in the, you know what, I know Freechild makes plays in these situations. And he didn't see that Reed Koss poach.
That's right. That's right. Today's streaming brought to you by Elemental Technologies. Elemental, the power of streaming is here at our command. Thanks to Elemental and with Next Gen Network here today. Check them out, Elemental Technologies. I think that's right, Kyle. I think that emotional intelligence is something that comes with experience. It's, I think Freechild probably would have made the play had it gotten there, but Friedman was a little bit too much with the blinders on there and just wanted to set his friend up, make the play. Koss kind of saw it coming.
And I think it comes with experience. It comes with the years playing. And I don't think it's just a self-officiated thing. I think Freechild may be particularly upset about the call by Lennon, but if you have referees in the MLU or ADL, you still get some calls that are questionable at times, and you still have to play your game after those moments.
That's right. Composure and emotional intelligence, huge factors in this game, as well as just the raw athleticism and skills of these players and the practice of these teams. Here you see, looks like kind of a stunt defense here as Jacob Janin off of whoever his man is, and the defense looking to sort of sandwich the stack. Koss opts to go back to Harkness. Harkness back to Koss. Good pressure here from Portland, but Koss able to find Harkness on the goal line, and Sockeye able to shove that one in for another break. 12-10, Sockeye. There's some discussion on the field. I'm not sure what is happening here. We don't have any of our players mic'd up.
I agree. I really liked the pressure from Rhino there out of the timeout. I thought they did a very good job making it difficult for Sockeye to put it in from only a few yards away. Looks like whatever call was made is being let go. So Sockeye now taking a 2-point lead here, 12-10.
Good pressure from Rhino's defense. Now they'll need to show their composure on offense. A lot of the same guys playing both ends of the disc. So late in the day, late in the tournament, guys been playing point after point after point. Takes that extra grit and that extra focus to really be effective from their top guys.
You know what I have to say? I think one of the benefits of this format, of these teams only playing 4 games in 2 days, is that we get to see these top guys still playing really good ultimate late on the second day of play. I mean, I think that this Rhino team, not quite as deep as Sockeye, not quite as deep as these other teams here, but the format allows these guys to keep going out there and keep churning, and still in this game against one of the top teams in the country, keeping it close late.
Yeah, only a 2-point game here, 12-10 Seattle. And I think that's right, Kyle. I think a lot of tournament formats, you can play, 4, sometimes 5 games in a day, and that just takes a toll after a couple days of play. So this round-robin format where they've only got 4 games allows these guys to be pretty fresh because they train hard. Simon with a pull, looks like to be sailing out of bounds here, giving Rhino an opportunity to take it at the brick mark, set up their offense. from what we can see here, it looks like a side stack, 3 on one side, 2 on the other side. If I had to guess, I would guess that they're going to look to go to Janin again, who's shown he's able to get open. He's on the side there with Allison Hall as Hancock walks the disc up.
And you mentioned Allison Hall there. Allison Hall had having a pretty quiet game so far. The speedster from 2 years of next-gen play. He's isolated a bit, and it is active on that side.
But both a little deep on that side. They go to King. Swings over. Now we're in more of a vertical stack for them. King wide open, doesn't get the disc. Double cut there. Friedman gets it. And their cutter's just a little too deep here. They need to pull off their cuts earlier. There you see he's out in front, but Sewell able to get there. King had an open cutter deep, just put it up short. But again, I think having their deep cutters so deep, not helping them put those shots out in front. Garrett moves it over to Simon. A little bit of a quiet stack from Sockeye. Lynn comes off the back and gets it. Back to Garrett. Harkness takes off, doesn't go. Instead, to Titcomb. Titcomb, some contact on the mark, throws it off in case Simon could have gotten there, but it's coming back to Titcomb. Looks like with a 0 count. And there you'll see Titcomb sees the break, goes around, and just getting manhandled there by Hancock. Simon with the disc. Sockeye stack needs to adjust and come in, or Skip Sewell needs to take off. Simon puts it out in front. Freechild pushing off a little bit, and out of nowhere comes Sam Harkness and makes a glory play. Comes down with it. Skip Sewell still on the ground, but pointing at Sam Harkness to say, nice work, buddy, not, hey, I'm hurt, help me. Great play, Sam Harkness.
Yeah, that one looked like a matchup between Freechild and Sewell, and Harkness just coming out of nowhere.
And you
Sewell
see
starting that cut really
there.
deep. And here comes Harkness.
Everyone under the disc kind of stops, but Harkness had more ground to make up. He was still at a run, which gave him an advantage, let alone he's got springs for legs. He tracked it the whole time and comes down with a great play.
You know, coming in later allows him to get a little bit of more momentum going up for that. And Harkness, you know, a little more leaping ability than Sewell in there.
Yeah, Harkness lives for that kind of play, loves it, comes down with far too many of those for normal humans.
So Sockeye on an 8-2 run here out of half. It feels a little bit like Rhino, the little brother, saying, Uncle, you know, I'm not ready to play with you guys at this level.
Yeah, and they've got, you know, in addition to some youth and inexperience, they've got their family members mixed up. Older brother, uncle, they're not even sure what's going on anymore. Sockeye up, 13-10, set to pull. Portland needs to punch in one on offense and then show some of that fire that we saw earlier in this game on defense if they're going to have a chance to claw back in. Reed Koss with a pull, one of their main pullers. Huge backhand, coming in a little sharp. Him and Garrett sending a lot of backhand pulls down at angle for Rhino, and we see this cup coming again. Barich, Dustberg, and I'm not sure that that Rhino has the same personnel that they've had. The last time that this cup was thrown, they were easily able to get through it. Now, not with Friedman, not with King. So we'll see if they can get there. That high backhand almost in the hands of Dustberg, but makes it through. Shaw up the field to Freechild. Freechild get a lot of touches here. High backhand out to Davis. Cup still very active. Some holes in the cup on the right side of Eric Dustberg, the tall blonde Dutchman there. Letting a couple through the cup. That one goes around. Rhino doing a good job of going off to the races here as they get it around. Nice little shot up the middle of the lorry. And they just need to hold on and show some composure. A nice shot there from Shaw. And again, Portland working it fairly easily and very nicely against Sockeye's tall cup.
Well, I think that's a great takeaway from Rhino here in the second half. They figured out this Sockeye zone. They've been able to work it through it the last 2 times. Great movement there from Freechild. I like that that lift backhand going over the top a little bit. We didn't see any overheads, but that essentially serves the same purpose as maybe a scuba would in those situations. And then once you get over that cup, you can move it out wide, and you force that cup to have to run to catch up and set up, and you're getting yards in that process.
And Portland showing some good stuff. There you saw Timmy Purston out of this game with injury, but Portland missing a couple of their top players and still able to rumble with these top teams. And that's got to give them some good confidence, even though they're down 2 coming into the final stretch of this game. Got to battle back, but I think that either way, they've got to be pretty happy with their performance here in this game, regardless of outcome.
Well, I think they can look at the first half of this game. They can look at the first half of that Bravo game and get a lot of really good confidence takeaways. They can play with these top teams, but they need to look at the second halves of those games as well and figure out, how do we stay consistent? Where are our weaknesses in these games?
And they've got that youth, that energy. They just need to find how to tap into that in the second half. We saw a lot of diving bids all over the place in that first half. We haven't seen that from Portland in the second half. Freechild with a very nice pull. Castine backing up all the way into the back of the end zone, and everybody already matched up for Portland. They could really use that pull. Sednar back to Castine. Spencer Wallace takes off. Kinley's there. Nice bid, but Kinley had steps there. Wallace with a huge save grab coming into the middle. Adam Holt. A lot of scrambling cuts here. Pretty much everyone on Sockeye was moving there for a second, and it probably helps them that there was some sort of call to reset. Adam Holt not sure who to throw it to there. McGinn on Adam Holt. Adam Holt, the lefty, hard to guard for Seattle's offense. Wallace, well guarded there by Davis. Sednar gets it. Castine wants to launch it. Does. Huge flick over the top. Wallace has steps. Can he get into the end zone? Yes, he can. Sockeye over the top. Nice throw from Castine. Nice run from Wallace. And Sockeye within 1 of closing out this game.
Well, that must be frustrating for Topher Davis. Topher Davis does a great job on handler defense on Wallace, but then he got so stuck in playing defense against a handler, and Wallace took off, realizing he was shut down there, and was open by several yards. And a great forehand from Castine. Out to space, in front of Wallace, super easy. And so Sockeye brings it to game point 14-11.
Van Arsdale almost got a hand in the lane there, just as Koss did earlier on a similar huck attempt, a forehand, but Van Arsdale not able to get there, and Wallace brings it in. Pressure is on for Rhino's offense, and at this point it takes a lot of mental toughness on Portland's side to be able to pull this one out. Sockeye just needs to keep the pressure on. And as Sockeye cheered many years ago, the cheer now would be "Stop the Bubbles," which is referring to holding someone underwater. Didn't mean to put that mental image in your head. I'm just, sharing a little bit about the fish mentality. Learn to grow gills. I don't know. You talk, Kyle.
I was expecting to see some more like wet willies or
oh yeah,
or, noogies here for the little brother, but
right.
But drowning them, that sounds pretty terrible.
Well, brothers will do the craziest things. Here's
like
Tim Garrett. Yeah, that's right. The swirly in the toilet. Big pull. Freechild bobbles it. Hangs on. Up to King. Here comes that zone again. Sockeye trying it again. And at this point, it's, Portland able to be effective in it, though. They're tightening it up here. The cup's a lot closer. And good communication there from Portland. Almost 2 guys attempting to catch the same pass with that Freechild high backhand again. Sockeye just getting a little bit more disruptive within the cup now. And there's something over the top, a floaty scuba, and a flying Spidell gets contact there, but Shaw says he either had it or that he got fouled. I'm not sure. Let's see that again. There's a scuba from Freechild. It floats quite a bit. Spidell comes in, and I'm not sure that was a catch. So if he's saying that's a strip, that's kind of a questionable call, but it looks like there may have been contact there, and Shaw will maintain possession.
It's definitely a close one. It goes uncontested here. The scuba clearly not as much of a wheelhouse throw for Freechild as those little high lift backhands have been.
And this added pressure within the cup really putting a strain on Portland's offense as they're having just a little bit more tough time moving it. There's a nice blade over the top and another blade, and Portland, a couple blades able to cut their way out of that zone and get an upwinder there. A lot of pressure from Sockeye, but Portland finally finds a couple over the top blades and gets out of that one, gets a goal.
And those are the jailbreak throws they need. With that four-person cup packed in so tightly, once you get over the top, there's only 3 Sockeye defenders anywhere near them, and they all clammed. They crammed in on that blade that came over the top, and left wide open receivers for Rhino to just run down the field.
Yeah, some nice over-the-top throws there, and of course, once you're out of that four-person cup, there's going to be open guys somewhere. Portland does a good job there of once they get it out, finding the openings and running off with a goal. Down 2, it's going to be a heroic run by Portland if they're going to fight their way back in here. Sockeye just looking to put 1 point on the board.
Now, Rhino has put up 3-point runs before on this team in this game, but it feels like a long time ago at this point. This feels like a very different game than what we saw in those first few points when Rhino had all of the momentum and all of the fire.
Well, and Sockeye had just come off of a huge game against Revolver, and now they've sort of found their comfort within this game, and we've seen a lot more composure from them. Here comes the defense. The defense really protecting against a huck right here. Sednar with the disc. A lot of guys open under, a couple double cuts. Wallace fairly unguarded there as Friedman finally reels in. Finds Castine. Donnie Clark wide open underneath, which makes some sense because he's a dangerous threat going deep as Van Arsdale chases him deep. Spencer Wallace can't hang on to a Sednar pass, and Portland here has a chance to bring it within 1.
Now, there's an unforced error from Sockeye. It looked like the marks on Rhino were jumping all over the place. They're trying to create something in that forced backhand, and Sednar just a little too quick. That throw was behind Wallace, and now Rhino with an opportunity to bring it within 1.
And this is really a show of mental toughness if they can do this, because they're antsy, they're fired up, they have an opportunity, and now they really need to be patient and be composed. You see them working through their handlers with the quickness, which they've shown so effectively. And there you see Freechild finding Davis up line. There's a little bit of fire. And this does look like the earlier run because there was an unforced error by Sockeye, and Portland taking advantage. And they're fired up right now.
Well, I think, like we said, young team. It's nice that when they see the weakness in Sockeye, they're willing to put the pressure on. That's something that they're going to need to learn how to do without that weakness, right? They're going to need to learn over the course of the season or over the course of the next couple seasons if they are able to keep the same group together to generate that intensity on their own, not with another team letting down, but by just creating it themselves. But here's an opportunity for them. Sockeye with that Sednar turnover to Wallace. Rhino now has an opportunity to make this a game going into overtime.
And I like what you said there about if this group's able to stay together. This is a very young team. The fact that these guys are able to hang with some of the top teams in the country and have an average age of 23 or so, if these guys can stay together, stay healthy over these next few years, these guys can be contenders nationally. And it's fun watching them sort of carve out that spot here against a top team in Seattle Sockeye. Sockeye's offense, of course, looking to shut the door on this game. Game point for them, 14-13. But Portland with a little bit of momentum here as Freechild sends the pull down. Again, a lot of familiar faces here on the Portland line. These guys have been playing a lot of points. Just centers from Adam Holt to Sednar. Vertical stack. Sefton open off the back. Adam Holt, after sending that initial pass to Sednar, takes off deep, runs it all the way down. I'm not sure he jumped into the end zone, though he could have easily, but does get it right on the end zone line. Dumps it to Kinley. Good pressure from Portland. They're do or die here. Backs against the wall. Kinley with a crossfield flick, and the speed of Donnie Clark allows Sockeye to reel in that goal and finish out the game. Good pressure from Portland, but solid play from Sockeye's offense to finish this one out. There's that huck again. It went Adam Holt to Chris Sednar, and then Sednar launched it to Holt. Holt could have finished it there had he taken a little jump step, but instead took a little drop pass to Kinley. Kinley crossed the end zone line. Dangerous pass, but Donnie Clark so fast, able to stay on his feet, reel it in, and finish out the game. Great game from these Northwest rivals. Seattle Sockeye winning another close one, winning by 2, 15-13 to Portland's Rhino. In the booth here today for Next Gen Network, I'm Dave Bestock. Been joined here by Kyle Weisbrod. And we've had a crack team of folks up in the booth here and on camera. Videographers Ian Lunger, Adam Bilbano, and Steve Merschel. Director Vin Bowie. Replay operator Kimber Coles. And executive producer Kevin Minderhout. Thanks for tuning in, folks. This has been Next Gen Network's coverage of the West Coast Cup here in Seattle, Washington. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.